Texas activists say they have enough signatures to put marijuana decriminalization on Lubbock ballot, but plan to collect more in final push. Now, last week, you guys remember I did a story and we talked about how they wanted to create signatures in order to try to get marijuana decriminalized. Well, this is my follow up to this story, and then I'm going to give my commentary. Texas activists say they have secured enough signatures to put a local marijuana decriminalization incentive on the ballot in the city of Lubbock. If lawmakers there do not enact the reform legislatively, the committee behind the incentive filed paperwork for the Freedom Act Lubbock ordinance with the city secretary in August, and on Wednesday announced that they have since gathered about 8,800 signatures. They only need roughly 4,800 valid signatures by October 17 to qualify, and the plan is to turn in about 10,000 by the deadline to ensure success. We are extremely proud of all of the volunteers on our team and everyone else who has helped us collect signatures. Adam Hernandez, communications chair for Lubbock Compact, said in a press release, first reported by Everything Lubbock. The campaign Ground Game Texas, which has led the charge in several successful local decriminalization measures throughout the state and is playing an advocacy role in the Lubbock effort, also recently released a report with data showing thousands of cannabis-related arrests in the city and how black and brown people are disproportionately impacted by the criminalization compared to white people, despite comparable rates of marijuana usage. For example, black people represent just 8% of the city's population, but they account for 29% of marijuana related arrests, the report found. Lubbock Compact has two scheduled events in the next week to shore up additional signatures to meet their 10,000 goal. And Hernandez's group advised voters in the city that more signatures are needed, even after reaching the petition's milestone, because some will be thrown out for various reasons. And we want to make sure that we have the required amount of valid signatures. Activists also need to show city leaders how much support this petition has, he said. That's because this is not a direct ballot initiative and incentive process. No, it's initiative process. It's two-party, and a successful signature turn-in will first require the Lubbock City Council to take up the issue. If legislators don't enact decriminalization, the proposal will go on the ballot for voters to decide. Hernandez told Marijuana Moment in August that activists fully anticipate lawmakers will vote against the reform given the political climate in the conservative town. But it will be great if they enact it in a surprise move. Under the proposal, local police will be prohibited from making arrests or citations to adults in possession of up to 4 ounces of cannabis, unless there is binding state or federal court order against the policy. If that does happen, the initiative says that the city's policy shall be to make enforcement of a Class A and Class B misdemeanor marijuana possession its lowest enforcement priority. The text of the measures says that it's meant to promote the health, safety, and general welfare of the people of Lubbock, enacting a reform in its interest of carefully allocating scarce city resources, reducing the risk of reducing the risk of discriminatory enforcement practices and focusing city resources on the highest priority public safety concerns. We don't have to really get into the end of it because it says Lubbock will be the second largest city by population to enact the reform. It would join cities including Austin, Dalton, Elgin, Hackers Heights, Keene, and San Marcos, that largely led by Ground Game Texas. Now, the states that they named, Austin, Dalton, all these other states that they named, before I ask for a commentary, I just want to say that they've all did the same thing. They've all tried to decriminalize it and put in the initiative, but they were all still voted against. None of these things happen. And it's greater than what people may think outside of it. In Texas, there is no state tax. So Texas will not benefit off of legalizing marijuana because there is no state tax. Now, we can grant it and say they can tax locally and say it would help businesses and everything else, but how everything is put in place here, the legislative branch of Texas, they're not going to be able to make sense of using uh, um, the same plant that they hated and spent so many years saying that it's a gateway drug, and then they villainized it and reefer madness and everything else, to turn around and say that we're going to use the money from it, and in this term just this money from it, because everything else we don't take money from it really, and we're going to use that somehow to allocate it and put it out there. I don't see this changing anything. The 10,000 signatures that they intend to get, I believe that they're going to get it, and I still don't see that it's going to change anything whatsoever, shape, or form, because it's going to be hard for Texas to tax money that is coming in through the state. Anyone else have anything to say about this?
I mean,
Yeah, man.
Lubbock, Texas.
I mean, shout out to Lubbock, trying to push things forward. Though, this they're putting in the ground game, and you know, it's gonna relate to my story when I read my second story too. Like they need a true leave. They need an MSO to come in there and really shake things up. You need somebody with a lot of money to push these things forward in red states like that. It's surprising to see how much Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott are pushing against a good business idea. This brings in tax
No,
dollars.
No, yeah,
Abbott is
Dan,
actually for.
yeah, Dan. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've been working on Abbott.
yeah, but
It's the attorney, it's the
yeah, they,
lieutenant.
they claim to be business friendly, and you see how much billions of dollars are being brought. Missouri
Dan
brought in a
Patrick
billion
is
in revenue.
is the bigger problem,
Yeah,
I know
it's,
not
it's
Governor
Dan
saying.
Abbott.
Patrick. He's
Yeah,
not. Because
Yeah,
Governor
that's what I'm
Abbott,
saying. That's
he's
the
for
point.
it. Like
Yeah,
he's really for it. Like low key, he's really for it. Like
is
he
he really?
like he's really for it. Like low key, he really for it. Like even for his next election that's going to come up. Like when he tried to run again,
Hmm.
he wanted to legalize it, but he didn't want to come out and say anything about it because he would have lost. He'd lose a lot of votes. You know what I mean? Like you have
Yeah,
the district attorney of the state, that's the major
yeah,
problem that's going to
yeah,
hold up everything. No, it's not Abbott though.
yeah. It's not. Yeah, Abbott's not the problem. It's all Dan Patrick.
I mean, I guess, man.
It's all right.
Somebody
Y'all
needs to go
Republicans
holler
want
at Dan Patrick.
your Republicans want to be on a
Dan Patrick
unified front
needs
and everything.
Oh,
Like
you're
what
so
Dan
silly.
I
Patrick
know
needs.
Dan Patrick has more power too, right? He has more power
Well,
than the governor actually does, right?
on this issue, he does.
on
On this
on
issue,
this issue specifically, but you know how
yes.
you get this change? Someone with a large wallet
Money,
needs to go,
money.
and they need to
That's what I'm saying.
donate. They need to donate to his campaign. They need to go to Dan's campaign, and they need to
That's what
fund
I'm
the
saying.
whole damn
They
thing.
need a true leave.
And
They need
then when Dan
Cresco. They
turns
need somebody
around,
to come down there.
you don't got to look. You don't got to put it in all the ground game
Yeah,
work. It's not. We don't need that. Someone with millions of dollars to give needs to go to Dan
yeah.
and say, "You need to get reelected again. I'm going to fund the whole thing, but you're going to find a way to make marijuana legal." And this is a simple dinner. This is a simple. Jason knows how this works. This is a simple
Oh,
Washington D.C.
I know
dinner.
exactly how this works.
Yeah, you fly them out of their
So
respective states. You send them somewhere. You sit them down fancy. Let them choose $1,000 a plate for dinner that night. You put them in one of the most exclusive hotels that they have in the area. You take them out of their state. This is how it works. This is the
Now,
romance. You know, you have a pact.
what you really do is you take them out of their state and you throw a fundraiser for them out of state,
Out of state,
and then
and
that
this is how
way
you get it
that
done.
helps them increase their donor base. And the larger the
yeah,
donor base and wider that net is able to get cast, will help elevate them
uh-huh.
to future careers in politics. And that's
If I wasn't worth a set million, if I was able to just give $5 million away, if I was worth $100 million,
mhm.
that's something that I would take $5 million of my money, and I would go have a beautiful fundraiser for Dan, and then
That's a nice,
literally after the
nice pet
election,
project.
Mhm.
it would be legal.
Yeah, it's a nice, it's a nice pet project, and
Yep.
I mean, you may just head into my story,
Yeah,
Jason, because
roll right into number 4, Rico.
yeah, I think it's very, very, very much related to this Texas situation because they
Go
were
for it.
having similar issues down in Florida.